Hello there. In this video, we're going to talk about the weighted moving average. Now, the weighted moving average is similar to the 3-period moving average, the simple moving average that we just went over. But the weighted moving average allows the inventory manager to skew the numbers a little bit towards the more current numbers in the sales data. So what we get to do is we get to add a weight to more recent data and give less weight as a result to the older data, the 3-month-old data. This allows for us to catch up in what's called lagging. Now, as you have seen in some of the other charts that we've done, the results for that next period, the one we're trying to solve for, have been below what the actual sales were for that period. And you can see that represented a little bit in this chart. So if you take the sales, the blue line, you can see that the forecast was lagging in that regard. And then when the sales tanked, the forecast kept going up, but then it corrected and started to meet somewhere in the middle. Now remember, if you will recall, we're doing moving averages to smooth out the noise. And so because of that, we're never going to be exactly right for any particular moment in time. But the idea is when your forecast horizon is maybe 4 to 6 months, that the total values of the forecasted amount will cover that period of time without a problem. We just want to eliminate as much lagging as possible with our forecast methods. Lagging is something that we're going to talk about in a later video, but I wanted to kind of introduce it here because I'm going to mention it a couple times in this video. And I wanted you to get an introduction to lagging and how we try to correct it with the weighted moving average. I'm going to show you how we do some error corrections later in our methodology. And the good news is that this is one area where in the Inventory Boss where it does the error corrections for you. It's really actually kind of nice. It makes the forecast that much more precise. But you need to understand what lagging is and how we adjust for lagging in our forecast. Now, the weighted moving average allows the user to take advantage of the noise-reducing properties of averaging, of the simple moving average, because we're smoothing data. And it gives the inventory manager a slightly increased ability to measure the trend and seasonality, although it will still lag in both. With the weighted moving average, you can assign varying degrees of importance or weights to maybe more recent periods of your sales history. Now, as you know, in the 3-period simple moving average, you would divide 1 by 3 and get the 0.333, and then multiply each period's demand by this number and then add the results together to get your forecast. And that's what we did in the last video. Again, I'm using the same numbers, so this is familiar to you. We multiplied the 3 periods, the 333, the 233, and the 322 by 0.333, and that gave us the average of 296. With the weighted moving average, instead of multiplying each period's demand by the same factor of 0.333, you can assign a larger averaging modifier for some of the later periods and a smaller averaging modifier for others, so long as the total weight equals 1. And I know that sounded like a mouthful, but this will all make sense in just a moment. Now, what this gives us is the ability, like I said, to assign more weight or more value to the more recent month's sales data, because that's what's currently going on in the market. Now we have to be careful with seasonality and events and everything, but we'll account for that. The idea is that this allows our forecast to be a bit more nimble and better in recognizing the trends as they are occurring. So for example, we'll develop a 3-period weighted moving average and assign the oldest period a weight of 0.2, the middle period, the next one, a 0.3, and the most recent period, now remember we're talking about months now, the most recent period, a 0.5. And as I said, these have to combine to a 1.0, so the combined weights must equal 1. So here we've got 0.2 plus 0.3 plus 0.5. That equals 1.0, so we're good. Now, assigning more weight to the more recent months helps us identify the trends quicker, so that would also concurrently shorten the lagging period. And it would look like this. Period 1, the 333 units times 0.2, then the 233 units times 0.3, and then the 322 units times 0.5, which gives us 298. Okay, now again, that's 100 units short, but you see how we've weighted the averaging in the more recent months. Now, we just fill in the rest of the sales from the forecast, and again, Excel does this, and certainly the program just does this in a blink of an eye, but you need to know how and why this works so you can understand what the numbers represent. So we've weighted this at 0.2, 0.3, and 0.5, and for the first set of 3 numbers, it gave us 298. For the second set of 3 numbers, it gave us 340. For the third set, it gave us 499, and for the last set of 3 numbers, because it's a moving average, we got 587. Now again, we had an event in our data, and if I haven't spotted it yet, I'm going to point it out to you. Right here, an event happened. We lost roughly a third of our sales. Something happened here. It could be that we just ran out of inventory, but we lost a third of our sales, and that is skewing our data. In another video, I will show you how to fix this. And like I said before, what you need to do is you need to clean your data up before you start applying math to it. Otherwise, you're going to bake these events into the cake of your forecast, and you don't want to do that because that wouldn't be good. It doesn't give you an accurate forecast or as accurate a forecast as you could otherwise have. Again, the advantage of the weighted moving average is that it can apply greater weight on the more recent months. And as a result, the effects of trends in the more recent periods will have a heavier weight in your forecast. And it's not just a matter of sales going up. You'll also get a quicker indication of when sales are going down. For example, you might have 5 new competitors that entered your category, and they're taking away some of your market share. This happens. And so the weighted moving average gives you a quicker indication of what's happening with your product in that particular category in the given platform that you're selling on. A potential downside is that this method might assign a heavier weight that might skew your results too far. You certainly don't want to do a 0.1, 0.1, and a 0.8. That would not accomplish the smoothing of the noise that we need for our forecast to be more accurate. And again, it would lead to results that really don't predict the trend, but only repeat the demand of the previous sales period, and that doesn't help you. The purpose of these forecasting models is to smooth out the noise to give us a really good picture of what the trend is. Again, seasonality is a part of this. I'll show you how to handle that later. There's some error corrections we need to do for something called bias. It's just mathematical bias, and I'll explain that to you in another video. But the forecasting models are intended to smooth out the noise and make sure that we're getting a really good look at the average sales across time. So that's really going to do it for the weighted moving average. I'm going to keep this video short, and I wanted you to see how we're progressing from a simple moving average to a little bit more sophisticated weighted moving average. I use the weighted moving average on most of my products. There's some that I use the exponential smoothing method on, which I'm going to do in the next video. But this is a really good method for you to start with as you begin to forecast your future sales. So with that, I'll see you in the next video, and we're going to go over the exponential smoothing model. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Inventory Boss helps e-commerce sellers increase profitability by balancing their business through solid inventory management best practices. Visit inventoryboss.com today and get all of our training and the use of our cloud-based software for an initial price of only $10 for the first 30 days. Get started today.